Those of you that have been following me, you know that I recommend discontinued fragrances quite a bit. I've got a ton of videos on the channel on discontinued fragrances. Also, within my videos, I've recommended fragrances from Athena, an Egyptian house that has great alternatives or very close dupes of my favorite discontinued fragrances. But today in this video, I'm recommending 5 really, really amazing discontinued fragrances that I love, that I've spoken about quite a bit on this channel and on the previous channel, that also have alternatives over at Athena that you can get to, experience how the original fragrances are. So in this video, I'm doing 5 amazing alternatives to really great discontinued fragrances. Find out what they are coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian. We're talking about alternatives to amazing discontinued fragrances. The alternatives all come from Athena. Are you guys familiar with the fragrances of Athena? They have some great alternatives to various discontinued fragrances and dupes and things like that. But they also do fragrances that are actually, it's a different brand. They have a couple of different brands within the overall brand umbrella of brands they have. And so Athena does some great alternatives to really, really great discontinued fragrances. I've recommended plenty, but I wanted to put one video together for you guys to find out about them. The first 4 fragrances I'm going to talk to you about are all 100 ml for $65. The last fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is 80 ml for $95. And then there is a bonus offering as well after the outro. But let's get started with the first fragrance. This is a fragrance that I actually used to speak a lot about on the previous channel. Or did I? Maybe it was on this channel at the very beginning when I relaunched this channel after the other one was gone. But there was a collection of fragrances that were exclusive to Russian by KILIAN Boutique. One of the fragrances that I had ordered, somehow I was able to order, was called Criminal of Love, this one right here. I've actually stored this away because you can't get this bottle anymore. This goes back to like 2015 maybe, 2014 when I bought this. See on the bottom it says Criminal of Love. I don't think you can find this fragrance. It was quite pricey as well. I paid about $300 for this way back then. Now, Athena has launched a fragrance called Origami, this one right here. And it smells very, very close to the original KILIAN Criminal of Love. In fact, I was so obsessed with the smell of Criminal of Love. I used to wear it, garner compliments. So when I got this and I started wearing it and experiencing it, testing it out and about, compliments did come in with this one as well. I've received 2 compliments so far on 3 different wears. So this is a fragrance that features notes of tobacco, patchouli, incense, honey, rose, papyrus, cardamom, saffron, immortelle, cedar, and apples. And for me, so close to the original. It's an amazing, amazing alternative or clone or take on the original Criminal of Love. And those of you that are, have been around in the fragrance community, do you remember this fragrance? It came in a collection of 4 different ones. They were a bit S&M inspired collection of fragrances, and it came with some hand ties. Anyway, I didn't experience the other 3. This is the one that sounded the best to me because it had patchouli, it had cypriol, it had rose and some sweetness and the tobacco. It's a fantastic fragrance, and Origami is a great alternative for that. Let's go ahead and quickly smell it and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. So the patchouli here is nicely meshed with the tobacco and the cypriol note, and the rose is kind of dry, but the honey makes it a bit more syrupy, gooey. But you've got all this dry, earthy, woody notes here against this kind of not necessarily extremely jammy rose, but when the honey hits it, it creates for this kind of syrupy experience against the dryness. Such an amazing fragrance. I'm so happy that this is available now, because this one I'm not using a lot. I put it away and I pull it out for when somebody comes into the studio and does like a sniff session here with my discontinued vintage fragrances and classic fragrances. I'll pull it out then. But now this is a great, great alternative for it. Let me know if you're familiar with Criminal of Love. Let me know if you're familiar with that collection of fragrances that featured that fragrance. Put a comment down below. And if you've sampled Athena's Origami, do also let me know that as well. Again, highly recommended, compliment getter, and a very long-lasting fragrance. Eau de Parfum concentration for 100 ml, $65, I think is great. And they did such a great job on that to recreate it to smell exactly like the Criminal of Love, which is now discontinued. So the next fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is a fragrance I wore in the late 90s. I was actually on a trip to Chicago around 97, and I went to the Macy's there downtown. Can't remember where, but I was looking for some fragrances at that time. There weren't any niche shops, and I was always curious about new fragrances, and this is the fragrance I stumbled onto. Gucci's Envy for Men. Instantly loved it and bought a bottle. I went through 2 bottles, and 3 years ago, a friend of mine who's a collector was getting rid of some of their classic fragrances, gave me a bottle of this. It's mostly to have here to talk about because it was a favorite fragrance of mine, but there is a really great fragrance from Athena called Covalent, this one right here. So it's nice to have these because now I can hold on to my originals, the vintages, and then mostly pull them out for these sniff sessions that I do here with clients. And then, of course, rather than spray the original, spray the alternative or the dupe. But basically, Covalent is ginger, incense, spices, sandalwood, and tobacco. It was kind of a creamy, woody experience, and I feel like that's from the sandalwood. The ginger was pretty prominent. It stood out. It added a zing and a bite against the creaminess of the sandalwood, and then there were some light smoky touches coming in from the incense. The tobacco wasn't necessarily an ashy tobacco. It was more of a leafy tobacco experience, so it gave it a bit more of a butch, masculine edge to the fragrance, along with a few more spices. Really great fragrance. I felt like it was also a very cozy fragrance because sandalwood to me is uber cozy and comforting and soothing. So in the end, it was a nice fragrance that I wore 2 bottles of. But let's go ahead and spray Covalent real quickly, and I'll give you a bit more info on it. Let me know if you've been a fan of Envy, Gucci Envy for Men. I can smell it already. Yeah, I can't believe how great these dupes or alternatives are to discontinued fragrances. Again, if you are into discovering fragrances that you might have missed, search the channel, just type in the word discontinued, and I've got a ton of great videos on the channel on discontinued fragrances. But here, again, very smooth and creamy sandalwood, and I can pick up that zing. I just had sushi last night, actually, with a lot of ginger, and it's reminding me of the ginger I had, the pickled ginger with the sushi here, because it's there, it cuts through to that creaminess, adds that bite again, and it's lightly smoky. It's not very smoky here, very lightly, and then in the background you see the spices and tobacco as well. Really, really wonderful fragrance, this Gucci Envy. But again, I'll hold that, save it in a cool, dark, dry place, and then pull out the Covalent from the House of Athena. Again, these are EDP concentration, 100 ml for $65, which is a great deal. Up next, it's one of my favorite Mugler Amen flankers. It's Amen Ultra Zest. This is it right here. I've got this right here, as you can see how much I have, and I have a full bottle that I sometimes pull out as well. But once these are gone, I'm done. I don't have any more. And this was definitely one of my favorite flankers that launched around 2016, I believe. It was taking the Amen DNA into a completely new direction. Not necessarily a fresh direction, but there was a lot of freshness there with that orange. The orange in this reminded me of, is it Sunkissed orange juice or whatever that orangey drink? It didn't have a very naturalistic orange smell, but that was all fine because I like the way the orange smelled in here. It's blood orange, coffee, mint, malt, cinnamon, patchouli, cedarwood, vanilla, tonka beans. Now I know Mugler is bringing back or starting to launch men's fragrances, but this is definitely missed. It was one of my favorites. Again, I love the Mugler fragrances. They were some of my favorite fragrances because they were not your traditional designer fragrances. They were always different, a little on the odd side, cutting edge, unique, and really great, wearable, delicious fragrances. But thankfully, Athena's Neon Orange is a great alternative for this particular fragrance. This one is not necessarily uber close, but when you wear it, you'll be reminded of Ultra Zest, Amen Ultra Zest, and again, one of my favorite flankers of Amen. Great stuff. And again, this is, it's got that kind of, it's not sun-kissed. I don't know. There used to be this kind of like odd orange drink in the refrigerators next to the milk. I don't buy orange drinks anymore because I think they're just full of calories. But it always reminded me of that. But you know what? I'm going to take that back. This is really, really close to Ultra Zest. I'm not spraying the originals, but now that I'm smelling it again, it does remind me of Ultra Zest quite a bit. It's really, really great. It's almost like taking that Mugler DNA and adding a burst of sunshine, like an orange sunshine. Really, really wonderful. It's fun. It's a very playful fragrance for me, this fragrance, because it's got that orangeness, the orange touch, and I feel like it's a great, great, happy, uplifting. Citruses give me that uplifting quality that I like when I'm feeling a little sad or it's a dark day outside, just a little bit of that sunshine. And to me, this is got this kind of young energy to it because it's got all that orange in there. So neon orange, I think, is a great, great alternative for Mugler's Amen Ultra Zest. And then, of course, this one I've spoken quite a bit about. This is one of the long sought-after fragrances from the house of Tom Ford. Everybody keeps saying they should bring it back into the signature collection. I've spoken to plenty of Tom Ford associates, not necessarily sales associates, that work for Estee Lauder. And they said if they ever brought this back, it would be in their upper-level private blend collection. I'm talking about PLUM Japonais, this one right here. Really great. I went through a whole decanter, and then by the time I finished my decanter, because I had bought it like in 2013, this thing was discontinued already. But thankfully, a friend gave me this bottle. I have a lot of friends that work in the community and also are collectors, so sometimes they pass on things that they don't want. Sometimes I have to pay for it, but this one was gifted to me, but I'm so glad to have it because this is all I have. It's a great plummy, oody, spicy, warm spicy, also aromatic fragrance featuring plums, cinnamon, saffroline, oud, vanilla, smoke, amber, cognac, cypress, Immortelle. People consider this one of the best plummy fragrances, like best fragrances that features plums. But Smoky Plum from the house of Athena, I think, is a great alternative. To me, this one is the plums, but not necessarily this kind of juicy plums. It's more on the dry side, which is basically what the original was as well. But it's the nice combo of this plummy note. Let me know if you're a fan of plums. They're not like some of the fruitiest fruits as far as fruits are considered in fragrances. So they lend themselves really nicely to certain notes that you wouldn't find like strawberries or cherries with. But the oud, the cinnamon in this really mesh really nicely with the plums in here. Gives you more of a warm, spicy, a bit more holiday-like vibe rather than, let's say, something like Lost Cherry, which is just up, happy, fun, playful, and kind of on the girly side. So let's go ahead and smell Smoky Plum. Yeah, this is to me really close to PLUM Japonais with just some minor differences there, but totally brings back when I first smelled PLUM Japonais from Tom Ford at Neiman Marcus and ended up buying that decanter there for the first time. Wow, yeah, it takes me back to when Tom Ford was doing some really, really great fragrances. Now, recently also I spoke about this fragrance, Bon Parfumer's 401, which to me also reminds me of Tom Ford's PLUM Japonais, but that fragrance takes the plums into a fruitier direction. Here, to me, this is really, really close to smelling like PLUM Japonais from the house of Tom Ford. Let me know if you're missing Tom Ford's PLUM Japonais, and let me know what your thoughts are on Smoky Plum if you have bought it. I know a bunch of you have bought it because I featured it in a video a year and a half ago or something. But if you haven't, have you been looking for a bottle of PLUM Japonais? Let me know. Put a comment down below. And last but not least, this is one of my favorite fragrances that has been discontinued from the house of Roger Parfums. This is Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, this one right here. Are you guys familiar with this one? So I reviewed this one while I was doing videos for Saffron. And I reviewed it. 6 months later, I found out it was discontinued. It was such a disappointment. So I'm cherishing whatever amount I have here. It's not, it's half a bottle at 50 ml. But really one of the best fragrances that I think Raja Parfums has created. I don't know why it got discontinued though, but it's oud leather, strawberries, cotton candy, bananas, cinnamon, raspberry, plums, and apples. And the alternative for this one from Athena is in a different bottle. It's like this. It's Abha. And it garners me compliments. Actually, I had another bottle and I traveled with it for the last trip I was on. And the previous trip I went for a month, I took it at that time as well. And I was trying to get through the bottle so I can leave it behind. People really ask me what I'm wearing, and it's that kind of a fragrance. It's super, super sexy. And the entire combination, the oud, the leather, the fruity touches, the candy touches, it's all a great combo of notes that really, when you put it on and it, you know, projects off of you, people stop you and ask you what you're wearing. I really, really love this. Let's go ahead and quickly smell this. I love that smell. Yum. The oud is there. The oud's got a bit of funk, but it's covered up with all those fruits and candied notes, spices. It is so, so delicious. Really, really amazing fragrance. I love this. I just love wearing it. It just makes me feel good. One of the best fragrances ever. Again, this is disappointing that Raja Parfums discontinued it. I don't know. Maybe there was an ingredient in it but if I'm a fan of this, I'm sure a lot of other people were fans of it. Maybe it was just too expensive to produce. But either way, you've got a great alternative here in Abha from Athena. Again, out of the 5 fragrances I've spoken so far about, the first one garnered me compliments, and the last one I'm talking about. The other ones have not garnered me compliments, at least I don't remember, but for sure the compliments came in quite a bit with this last one, and I've received at least 2 compliments with the first one, Origami. But this is a different type of bottle. It's a bit more luxurious. Obviously, you can see the bottles are different, and also the prices are different. The Origami 100 ml is $65, and I believe there's promotions there all the time. And then the Abha is a kind of more of a luxurious bottle. It's 80 ml for $95. They're all eau de parfum concentration fragrances. Anyway, those are all the fragrances I'm talking about. Let me know if you've sampled the fragrances of Athena. Put a comment down below so I can find out. And what are your thoughts on these discontinued fragrances? Do you have a bottle? Are you looking for a bottle? Now's your chance to get them with these great alternatives. Again, I'm a big fan of some of these discontinued, not some of them, all of these discontinued fragrances. If I can find alternatives to a lot of the discontinued fragrances that I've been speaking about on the channel, I'll definitely do more videos like this. But do let me know your thoughts on the discontinued fragrances and the alternatives that I spoke to you about from Athena, if you have already tried them. But either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. Okay, I've got a bonus option here for you guys from Athena as well. It's called Devon, this one right here. So this is a fragrance that just launched from this house. To me, it smells so molecular and like ambroxan forward. If you like those kind of fragrances, you're definitely going to like this one. To me, it smells a bit like Thomas Cosmala's Après l'Amour, number 4. And also a bit like Town and Country from Clive Christian. But it is so super potent, and I think this is going to garner compliments. I haven't really put it to test yet, but I just sprayed it before I hit the record button, and man, I'm almost choking out because it's so strong. So it's amber, cardamom, bergamot, cashmere wood, tea, juniper berries, lemons, clary sage, olibanum, patchouli, cedarwood. If you like these kind of molecular smelling fragrances with ambergris accord, ambroxan in the place of ambergris, you're probably going to really like this Devon. It's quite spicy. Let me spray it a little bit more. Give you my thoughts on the first initial sprays, because it's pretty strong. Very much like an amber overdose, but very dry and powdery, and also very spicy. Some light citruses coming in, some smoky touches coming in for sure. Earthiness, aromatics are all there. I think this will be perfect in the heat, but I feel like it's extremely potent. I'm fine wearing fragrances like this, but sometimes it might be a bit too much for certain people. But I think it'll satisfy those folks that like fragrances like Thomas Cosmala's Après l'Amour number 4 or Town and Country by Clive Christian and so on. And even like fragrances like Baccarat Rouge, Molecule 2, although that's on the light side, more like Not a Perfume Superdose and things like that. I think you guys are going to like Devon from the House of Athena. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.